Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Money in the Morning. Come on in. It's so good to see everybody. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a great day. Today, I thought that we would jump into this whole thing with the stock market and the tariffs. Ooh, buddy. Those tariffs are wreaking havoc on the stock market today. A lot of you who own stock are probably sitting back saying, "Oh my Lord, what did I get myself into? What is going on here? This is just messy." And it is. It is. And there's a lot to talk about here. And I thought that this morning it would be fun to kind of dive into this and talk about the tariffs and what tariffs tend to do to stock markets and why you're seeing the reaction that you're seeing, and also what the short and long term view of this should be, in my opinion. So anyway, as you come in, I want to remind everybody that tonight we are also going to be studying estate planning. We got Attorney Charles Frazier coming in tonight to help you answer questions about legacy planning and making sure that you don't throw all your wealth away when if something happens to you. We're all going to die, and we want to make sure our loved ones are in good shape. Give me a yes if you agree with that. If you agree that legacy planning is important, then join us tonight. You can go to drboycelift.com, Lift. Lift stands for Legacy Investors for Tomorrow. That's the name of the group, Legacy Investors for Tomorrow. And also, just as a reminder, I'm sending out a text to everybody who's in our Money in the Morning club, and you will, if you want to be on the text list, text the word morning to the number 87948. If you text morning to 87948, I will send you a wake up call periodically. I won't be able to send it every day, so make sure you register for the Zoom so you get the Zoom notifications. But I send them whenever I can. All right. So how many of you give me a yes in the chat if you have seen your stocks kind of just get body slammed in the last few days, mainly because of this tariff stuff? Give me a yes. I hope everybody's investing. If you're not investing, I need you to be an investor because that's the key to wealth. That's the number one driver of wealth in America. If you don't invest, that means you don't want to be wealthy. If you don't invest, that means you want to be broke. If you don't invest, that means you want to stay flat financially. Because I can tell you as a financial researcher, when we study where the money's at, who's got the money, where the money come from, how did they get it, the stock market always pops up. The stock market literally is that number one wealth driver. That's what makes your pockets fat. So ultimately, you got to be in the stock market. So give me a yes if you're in the market or if you are going to get in the market. I need you to get in there. And if you don't know what to do, it's okay. Just go to blackwealthmasterplan.com and we've got the $5 a day plan. It's so easy. A 5-year-old monkey can do it. So literally go to blackwealthmasterplan.com. We can get you started there. All right. So the stock market's been hit pretty hard. And it's and this was to be expected. This was something that people saw coming down the pike, mainly because Trump is a different kind of president. He likes to fight a lot. And one area he wanted to fight is he's kind of fighting everybody. He's fighting the enemies and the allies. And one area he wanted to fight was on the area of tariffs. He felt that the United States is kind of getting a raw deal in a lot of these trade agreements. And I was explaining to my father this morning, and I said, it's kind of like if we sell wood to our neighbor and our neighbor sells us chickens, and I come in the house and I say, you know what? He's screwing you. He's only paying you $1 a pound for your wood. He should be paying $2 a pound. Well, then the neighbor gets pissed, and the neighbor says, "Well, I'm going to charge double for double for my chickens, right? I'm not gonna. If you want me to pay more for wood, you're going to pay more for chickens." And not only does that increase the prices for everybody, but it also dismantles the relationship a little bit. It undermines the relationship. And these are the things that are kind of happening right now. You see relationships with allies kind of being undermined because of the choices that Trump is making. But the thing about it is that you can't unilaterally say that it's a bad decision or a good decision because some relationships need to be adjusted, right? You think about it. Imagine if you're dating somebody and they're beating you up every day. Well, that's a relationship that needs to be renegotiated, right? You can't beat me up every day because I didn't cook the pancakes right, right? And so, but then some people may say, no, you're taking a good situation and you're making it bad. We had peace in this relationship, and now you created chaos. So whether you agree with the moves or not, what's happened is that the relationships are being dismantled. They're being disrupted, and some of you think it's a great thing. Some of you think it's a terrible thing. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm just here to talk to you about your money. I care about you. I don't care about Ukraine. I care about you. I don't care about Trump. I care about you. I don't care about Democrats. I care about you. I don't care about Republicans. I care about you. And I want you to have more wealth because I can tell you this simple fact. Very simple. Anybody can confirm this. Give me a yes if you can confirm this. If you are black and you're financially secure, you're gonna do better than most people under a Democratic administration. Give me a yes if you agree with this. If you're black and you're financially secure, you will do better than most people under a Republican administration. Give me a yes if you agree. If you're black and you're financially secure, it doesn't matter if Bush is president, you're going to be fine. If Obama's president, you're going to be fine. If Trump is president, you're going to be fine. If Biden is president, you're going to be fine. So I just want you to be fine. I like solutions. I like simple answers. I don't really care about sitting around fighting with people about Democrat, Republican stuff. That's just not my cup of tea. I'm not interested in none of that. I want to talk about the money. So let's get back to the money. Let's get to the money part. I'm going to break down for you really quickly some of what's happening with these tariffs and why the tariffs are disruptive to financial markets. Basically, the stock market just, I mean, Lord, this morning I woke up, I woke up to a bloodbath. I said, Lord Jesus, look at this, man. This is bad. I got to call white Jesus, black Jesus, and baby Jesus because all the stocks are just down. And the first thing that we have to go back to, and y'all know this because you actually those of you that have been coming to class every day, you know more about economics and finance than probably 90% of all Americans because you talk to a finance professor every day. And most of you know this, that you know what I'm going to say about short-term movements in the stock market, right? You know that I'm going to say this too shall pass. And here's the reality. Here's the fundamental reality I want you to understand about what's happening in the markets right now is I want you to just realize this right at this moment that in 5 years, you won't remember this day at all. I guarantee you, in 5 years or 10, especially in 10 years, if I move forward to the year 2035, because it's coming, the future is always coming. See, remember in 2015, you thought 2025 was never going to get here. If it was 2005, you thought 2025 was way off in the future. Well, 2025 is here. 2035 is coming. In 2035, I guarantee you, you will not remember any of this. You will barely remember this conversation because between now and 2035, chances are you and I will have had hundreds of other conversations. You won't remember this. Or if you do remember it, the only reason you're going to remember it is because I'm telling you that you're not going to remember it, which might make you remember it, right? So the point of the matter is to say that daily stock market fluctuations don't mean a whole lot when you're talking about engaging in the wealth building process. So when you go and you turn on the TV and you hear Democrats and Republicans screaming back and forth at each other and people saying, "Look, he's tanking," when the market recovers and everybody starts making money again. Keep that same energy, because it's gonna happen. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I did this morning. When I saw everything down, you know what I did? I grabbed as much cash as I could possibly grab, and I went in and I bought all the cheap stocks I could find. Because here's the deal with this trade tariff stuff, it gets reversed all the time. It gets changed all the time. Right now, Trump announced his tariffs on Mexico and Canada. Mexico and Canada have retaliated. Um, at some point, they're all going to say, "Oh, okay, the tariffs are over," and then next thing you know, the market's going to just go up. And then if that doesn't work, there's also something that they call the Fed put. Has anybody give me a yes if you've ever heard of the Fed put? Has anybody ever heard of the Fed put? If you've been hanging out with me enough, you might have heard me mention it in this space at some point. Anybody ever heard of the Fed put? Well, the Fed put, if you know options, you know what a put is. A lot of y'all study stock options with us. If you know options, you know what a put is. A put is basically something, it's a financial instrument you buy that pretty much makes money when the market goes down. That's pretty much what a put does. It's like insurance. Like it goes up in value when your assets go down in value. When your market drops, the puts go up. That's why a lot of you that do stock options with us in the Prime program, you know about puts. Well, there's something called the Fed put. And basically what the Fed put is it says that the Fed and all the other rich people who run the country, they're sitting here and they're watching this happen to the markets. And they're also watching consumer confidence go down. Maybe they're worried that the jobs numbers will be bad. And when they start seeing negative information, you know what they do? They step in and they lower interest rates or they increase the money supply or both. They call it quantitative easing. And all that does is that gives a shot, an injection of financial steroids into the economy. When the Fed comes out and they say, we've announced that it's determined that we should reduce the federal funds rate by a quarter point or by a half a point or whatever, the market rallies. And the market goes up 700 points that day. Everybody who owns stock gets paid. That's what happens. So the Fed put is something that is controversial. I don't think it's honestly appropriate in a free market economy. I think that we try to play God when it comes to our economics a little bit too much. But I don't mind it because I'm one of those rich guys who owns lots of stock. I wasn't always rich. I wasn't always rich, and I want to make sure that's clear. If I say, yeah, yeah, me and my wife, we're not poor. Well, of course I'm not poor. I'm over 50. I've been working my whole life. I shouldn't be poor. But at this, and I'm fine. I'm a finance professor. But just understand this: don't let that detach us, because one of the things that happens is that when you say you're black and you're not struggling, a lot of people say, "See, you don't understand what it's like to be black. You don't understand the struggle like we go through." It's like, no, I understand the struggle very well. That's why I got out of it. Right, I understand the struggle really well. That's why I didn't want to struggle forever. I studied money in college because I had no money. I know I've been homeless before. I have lived in the projects before. Any ghetto, like roach infested story, bologna sandwich eating story, you could tell I can match you pound for pound. If you want to get in the struggle Olympics, I will win a gold medal every single time. But the difference is that I was raised in a family where when you're in an uncomfortable situation, you make a plan to improve that situation. If you don't like your circumstances, you go fix it. You don't sit and just live in it. You don't get comfortable in your misery, right? Give me a yes if you understand. A lot of you understand this. And I think this is important because for some reason people think that being black means you're supposed to struggle, be broke, always be behind. Somebody could literally give you a plate full of information and you take the plate, you throw it in the garbage and you aim for the chitlins, right? And it's like, no, people are serving you information. Just last night, my wife and we did an hour and a half long conversation with a financial therapist who is a clinical psychologist, and they spent the whole hour and a half talking about all of the little things that black people can do to heal so that your relationships are not messed up, so your finances are not messed up, so your mental health is not messed up. And I guarantee you that we will never get as much viewership as Cardi B might get if she's on there talking about how many men she had sex with last week. So the reality is that sometimes we get trapped in this psychological cage where we just want to live in misery. We want to struggle. We create the struggle so that we can complain about the struggle. We maintain the struggle so that we have something to complain about. And so I'm just telling you, you ain't got nothing to complain about. All this is all this, a lot of this struggle is very optional if you have a long-term plan. So anyway, with that being said, let's talk about this market a little bit more. So with this market, the tariffs are causing the market collapse. That is 100% clear. Um, and with this market collapse, or decline, it's not a collapse, it's a decline. What the tariffs have done is they have reduced global trade. Companies around the world are now seeing higher expenses as a result of these tariffs. The cost of doing business just went up all around the world. That's what Trump did with his tariffs. Also, you have an impact on consumer spending that occurs with tariffs because tariffs are what they call inflationary. Inflationary meaning they cause the prices of everything to kind of go up a little bit. So I'm curious to see how they play that, right? Because they talked about the previous administration causing inflation. Well, tariffs are known to be very inflationary. Most economists would agree on that. But the counter of that, the counter argument is that tariffs can be protectionist. And what's happened around the world is that there's kind of a movement globally in the US, the UK, Germany, everywhere to become more nationalist, right? A lot of people are rejecting globalism because globalism has the benefit of the free flow of capital and goods across borders. The prices of things go down, things like that. Companies can make a lot more money in a globalist society. But the problem is that this wealth increase does not spread to everybody. So what's happened with globalism is that you have, again, the rich people like us. I say us because most of you are in the stock market. So if you're not rich, you're becoming rich because you've got wealthy people habits. Rich people like us benefit from globalism because those companies that I tell you to look into, when you go buy stock, these companies are all making record profits because of the open borders and the globalism and the free flow of capital around the world. The downside, though, is that America is too capitalist. We don't spread the wealth. We don't share. We don't believe in distributing wealth to the poor. We don't believe in creating rights for workers. Right? It'd be very easy for us to just support labor unions and make sure workers are getting paid a decent minimum wage, like 22, $23 an hour. Over in Denmark, for example, the minimum wage is $22 an hour. Here in the United States, people think that's a lot of money, and I don't, and it's not a lot of money for a lot of people, right? So basically, the reason that tariffs can have some benefit is that let's say you're a steel worker, and you've been doing steel for 25 years. Well, if they change the tariffs and remove tariffs or something, and suddenly they're making all the steel in Mexico and China, well, then you're out of a job. Now, theoretically, what's supposed to happen is there are other jobs that are created because the economy is open and more money is being made. But if I'm a steel worker, I've been working in steel for 25 years. Maybe I don't want to switch careers at the age of 50, and I think that's what's unfair. I personally don't mind tariffs in certain industries because I think those tariffs can protect those industries because I think caring about people is really important. In fact, in the black community, I think we should have tariffs to some extent. We should have a black tax. We should have a willingness to pay a little bit more to get a black owned product, and we should have a less of a willingness to buy a product that is not black. I know that Al Sharpton told us to boycott on the 28th, and because we're mad because of all the Democrat Republican stuff. But I'm like, I think you should boycott them as much as they boycott you. They boycott you every single day of the year. They always boycott black owned businesses. So uh, for the sake of equality, because I believe in equality, equality dictates that I'm gonna treat you just like you treat me. You don't buy from me, I ain't buying from you, sucker. So you keep your little product over there. I'm gonna try to find a product I can buy from my cousin or another black person or somebody in my community or somebody in the B1 community. I don't want to buy from you, right? So ultimately when you think about economic blood flow, you think about money, it's almost like blood flow. It gives life to various parts of the economy. The black community is the part of the economic body that basically is dead because there's no blood flow in that section of society. If you go through South Side, West Side, Chicago, places like that, you're going to see places that are economically dead because there's no blood flow. If I again, I talk about my home city of Chicago. I go to Chicago, go to the north side. Oh, the economic blood flow is big. The north side, they're building new football stadiums and billion-dollar projects over here and over there. And now, mind you, all these politicians, they all get elected because of black people. But then when they start allocating the money, all that money is going to all that economic blood flow is going to another part of the body. But then you go to the west side and you see abandoned buildings, busted up projects. You see places that could be great if you put some money into them, but no one does that. The blood flow does not circulate to our community. So ultimately, when you're talking about money, think of it like blood flowing through the body. You want to make sure that it's well distributed, and in America, it's not distributed. All the blood goes to certain sections of the body, and what I've been explaining to you all is how to make sure that you position yourself in the section of the economic body where the blood flow is strong. I want you to be in the space where the money energy is high, where the money's everywhere. I don't want you to be in the places where the money is scarce, right? And then I want you to go to the places where the money is high and then transfer that wealth to the places where the money is low, where the blood flow is low, right? You see that the foot's about to get cut off because there's no circulation. Well, go to the part of the body where the blood is and you transport the blood down there, the economic blood. Let me explain that fully. So you are black. Almost everybody in here is black. If you ain't black, that's okay too, because you must love black people and you're welcome here too. Anybody who wants to help the black community is welcome to this class. So don't ever think that I hate people who are not black. I don't have time to hate nobody. I'm all about love. So well, here's the deal. Here is our job. Our job is to go to the spaces where the money's high, the stock market, wherever, right? Maybe it's your black job, maybe it's the real estate you own, and you go and you invest in the places where the money's low. This requires a certain degree of consciousness and attention. Financial consciousness means that I'm going to be very conscious about where I spend my money. Financial consciousness means I'm going to be conscious about where I invest my money. Financial consciousness means I'm going to transfer that economic blood flow into the places where that are previously neglected. Black families are neglected. That's why they fall apart. We take more pride in being a middle manager of a white-owned company than we take of being the head of a black-owned family. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me if I'm telling the truth. We take more pride in that job than we take in actually being a dad or being a mom or having a household or having some black children. Those little children, those are more valuable than you've got a couple of employees that work for you at your job and because you're the middle manager of widgets at UPS, but those little children, they honor you, they love you, right? Why would you give more attention to the job than you give to the family? I know people that literally never ever even thought about investing in a family. They're like, no, because my career is too important. I've been working so hard on my career, and that's why I'm 50 years old and I never had any kids. Okay, I get that. I understand that. I fell for that trap too. But at the end of the day, what's more important? Right? What's more, and I can tell you, I learned that the hard way. I'm really talking about myself because I got caught up in all that. Yeah, I'm gonna get my PhD and I have to work so hard because I don't have time for a relationship because blah, blah, blah. I did all of that. But then about 40 something, I was like, I think there's things more important than just career achievements. And then I achieved a lot in my career. And then I was like, nah, I think there's more to life than that. So I didn't want to go back in my 40s and have kids. I didn't want to have like little babies at 50. That's a lot of work. So I married a woman that had children. And I was really shocked. I'm gonna tell you, I was very shocked because I saw a lot of men who didn't understand why I would do that. They were like, "What's wrong with you? You a simp, you a sucker. Why would you marry a woman with kids?" I'm like, because kids are a blessing. Black children, the opportunity to mentor kids in our community, that is a gift from God, Negro. Like you, don't you? What's what world do you come from where you think black kids are just a little nuisance and a curse? No, black children. That's you know that song. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Like I used to listen to that when I was little. Children are the future. When we're old and gray and tired, they're going to be the ones who are going to decide if they're going to keep us in their house or drop us off on the front porch of an old folks home, right? So these kids are important. Why would you invest more in your white boss's company than you invest in the children of your community? Well, maybe that's why your community fails because your kids are sitting there like, so what we doing, Daddy? How come I ain't got your attention? But all these other things do. Well, I think we were tricked. I really do. I think that we were tricked into somehow thinking that a career is more important than a family. And I'm gonna just tell you, that's just not true. That fancy job title, all that's made up. All that shit is just made up. And I believe me, I've had a lot of job titles before. I have. And I know people, I know high flyers who are like, I am the vice president of blah 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 and da da da. Somebody made all that up. They made up those job titles. And here's the crazy part. Whenever they're ready to take it away, they actually can. They can take it away just like they took away all your DEI programs that you were so dependent on. They literally it's a trick. It doesn't mean these things are worthless. It doesn't mean I'm saying that all your hard work hasn't amounted to something. But I just think about it. Like, imagine if it was 400 years ago, and imagine if you're instead of talking about corporate jobs, you're talking about plantation jobs. And imagine I'm a slave on a plantation, and I got a wife and children who love me, but my goal is to get in master's favor, so massa will make me the overseer of the north side of the plantation, and then also put me in charge of washing dishes in the big house, right? And I worked my whole life to accomplish this, and I sacrifice my family, I sacrifice everything that really matters so that massa will make me like the head of dishwashing in the big house or give me like managerial rights over the north side of the plantation. That really, think about how ridiculous that sounds. Think about how crazy that sounds, right? And to some extent the same analogy applies when you talk whether you're talking about the old school plantation or the corporate plantation. The corporate plantation, all these companies are is really just kind of a fancy modernized version of what you had 400 years ago. You had companies 400 years ago. You had plantations and organizations and entities and all these other things and jobs, black jobs. They had black jobs 400 years ago. You just didn't get paid, but you had your black job. And there were slaves that would sacrifice everything to get the best black job. The best black job on the plantation. Am I lying? Am I lying? Seriously, when you look at it like that, you just laugh. You're like, why would a slave put more energy into being, the head of dishwashing in the big house than he puts into raising his own family? Well, the same thing is true now. I think that we will put more energy into our careers than we put into family. And here's the other crazy part. Pay attention now. You think about what we study in school. Like, what do we study in school? We will spend 4 years, maybe 6 years, maybe 8 years going to school to study everything we need to know to get like a really great job. But process this. How many people actually are willing to go to school and take a class on how to have a great relationship? How many people are willing to go to school and take a class on how to be a great parent? How many people are willing to take a class on how to be a great wife? How many people are willing to take a class on how to be an excellent husband? I don't know a lot of people who do that. A lot of people just kind of wing it. They wing it. Like, oh, I'm just gonna figure it all out. Imagine if you did that with your black job. You wanted to be a dentist. You're like, oh, I'll just wing it. I can just grab the drill and I'll find some teeth in there somewhere and we'll figure it out. Right? I'll pick some Novocaine or something off the shelf, inject it in, and we'll make it work somehow, right? It'd be like those weekend nail techs or techs, dental techs. Remember they had those little dental tech certificates you could get in like 2 weeks or something, and people were dying because they were like doing their teeth or whatever, right? So it's kind of the same way. So here's my proposition. Here's my point. When you're talking about investing, and remember, most investing doesn't involve money. When you talk about investing, I think it's very important as an act of financial consciousness to be very conscious and deliberate and intentional about where you put your attention, what you're investing in, where are you investing your money, where are you investing your time, where are you investing your energy, where are you investing your attention. And I think that a lot of the economic blood flow misses our families and misses our communities because that's not getting our attention. There are not a lot of people who say, like it's not really popular to say, yeah, I could have done more in my career, but I really just wanted to focus all my energy on being a great dad and really pouring into these kids and really pouring into this family and pouring into my wife and being a great husband. And this was a realization I had to come to as an investor, as a lifelong investor and a financial expert at the age of 40, 44, 45 years old. So I did not know these things when I was 32, 33. I didn't know these things when I was in my 20s. It was go, 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 career, career, career. And I think maybe about my 40s, I started seeing lots of rich people with nice careers who were very lonely, who had nothing except that job. And I said, oh my God, that's got to be really depressing, where all you got is a job. And the job could be taken away from you just like that. Right. So anyway, that's a thought. So think about that when you talk about investing. I think that so circling back to the tariff conversation. And before I do that, somebody said there's an audio issue. Can y'all hear me? Give me a quick yes. Let's do a quick sound check. Give me a yes in the chat if you can hear me okay. I want to make sure that my audio is coming through. Okay. Okay. I see. Thank you, Darlene and Josephine and Cynthia. I appreciate you for giving that to me. Let me know. Also, later on today, the Stock Market Investors Club is meeting. If you want to do a free trial, just go to drboycestockmarket.com. That's drboycestockmarket.com, and you can try out the stock market class. We'll talk about some stocks that I like, and this is a great time to buy. I mean, and in fact, actually, if you're on the text list for this class, I'll send you all a list. I made a list of financial stocks. A lot of people are investing in financial companies to diversify against some of what's happening in big tech. The Magnificent Seven, meaning like Nvidia and Tesla and Microsoft and all that, they were doing really well for a while. Now they're looking pretty bad, especially Tesla. Tesla's just whatever, right? So a lot of people are putting money into financial companies in order to diversify away from what's happening with big tech. So I'll text that out to you guys. Make sure you're on the text list. If you're not on the text list for this class, pull out your phone, text the word morning to the phone number 87948. So text morning to 87948. And I promise you, you're going to hear from me regularly, but every time I text you, it'll be something that will give you value. And just know that if you don't open the text after a while, eventually we take you off the list because our goal is not to bother you. Our goal is to be an asset in your life and not a liability. So if you're interested in the stuff we got going on, we have something happening every day in the Black Business School. Our goal is to be a first class HBCU. That's what we are. That's when, like I'm inspired by Booker T. Washington, what he did with Tuskegee over 100 years ago. I believe we can do something just as great. The only difference is between myself and Booker T. I love Tuskegee, by the way. I think we might end up spending a lot more time down there. It's a great institution. The only difference is that Unlike Booker T and others, I don't believe in taking money from the government or taking money from corporations. So I'll probably never have a big sprawling campus like Tuskegee because we're not getting money from the state. But I think that's better. I think that Black people, we should build our own institutions so that we're able to really navigate and do what needs to be done, right? We can have the conversations that need to be had. We can have the curriculum that we really need in order to solve problems. And me being good with financial stuff and understanding how money works, it allows, we can do more with $100,000 than most people can do with 10 million, so ultimately, I think we can get the job done, but that's what we're doing. We bringing in PhDs and professors and lawyers, and like tonight we've got Attorney Charles Frazier coming in for our estate planning training. There's so much. There's literally $1 trillion worth of talent in the Black community, probably $10 trillion worth. There's so many of you that are so smart, so talented, so capable. Aisha Verzi, I brought her in. She does a lot of great stuff with insurance and financial planning, stuff like that. And there's so many smart people in here that I really think that we have everything we need. I don't think we need like this idea, this false idea that we magically need white people to educate us is just the dumbest thing in the world. Like no, we don't need them to educate. Maybe they need to educate me on how to be white, right? Or how to navigate in a white organization or something. I probably need that, right? I don't know how to be white. I've never been good at it. I tried it. It was hard though. But I don't know how to be white, and so I probably would need training on that. I don't know how to navigate a white organization. I probably need to be trained on that. But I'm not trying to learn these things. I'm trying to learn how to be black, right? And the only people that can teach me how to be black are other black people. I'm learning how to navigate a black organization. Also, not just learning how to navigate black organizations, we got to learn how to build black organizations. In fact, I'm working on my next book right now, and I'll tell you guys more about it once the ideas are fully formulated. But I think we got to go to the new DEI. The new DEI is development, entrepreneurship, and investment. We must develop the kind of people in our community that are gonna build, that understand building, that understand systems. Right? You cannot just build, you cannot mass produce 10 million employees every year and think you're ever going to have any true economic power. And this is my little bone to pick with. I love my HBCUs, but Lord Jesus, think about this. This is what's crazy to me. And I'm not making fun at all. I promise you, this is not me being a hater or being a nasty person. But Tennessee State University is on the brink of falling apart from what I understand, from what I've seen in the media. Tennessee State is really having some major financial problems, and my heart goes out to them because it's a great institution. And I was just thinking, I said, first I was thinking, well, didn't Oprah go to your school? Like, what happened with that? Like, is Oprah? I mean, I'm not putting it on Oprah or putting it on the school. Maybe she did do something for the school, or maybe the negotiations didn't work out. I don't know, but that was the first thought. But then here's the second thought that I had, and I said this to one of my friends. I said, well, maybe HBCUs struggle financially because they don't have the kind of donor base that can really step up and write that $10 million, $20 million check. Like, why is it that we have, I think we need to really reflect on this. You've produced probably 100,000 graduates that are all over the world that, and the vast majority of them are working for white people. So chances are that when your school needs to be saved, when you need a big mega donor that can write that check for 50 million or whatever, you don't have that because employees can't write $50 million checks, but entrepreneurs can. People that run hedge funds, they can. Ken Griffin makes probably $1 billion a year, like which is far more than like a LeBron James or somebody like that. Like Ken Griffin can write $1 billion check for his alma mater if he has to, right? And Mark Zuckerberg can write $1 billion check and not even break a sweat. So maybe as a community, we've got to really think about this in terms of producing the kinds of young people that really max out their capability, max out their economic potential. I'm sorry, I'm not excited about the idea of producing more black employees to get black jobs working for white people. It's not because I hate white people. It's not because I have an issue with employees. All of us have been employees. It's because I think that we can do so much more. So development, I think, starts with developing the kinds of people that manufacturing the kinds of young people that can really build a community. Everything's manufactured, just like the thug culture. The thug culture is manufactured. The guy speech from Arrested Development, who I'd really like him a lot. I gotta talk to him on the phone. I'm gonna bring him in because I like that guy. He did a documentary called the Iga Factory. It's the N word. It's too early for me to say the whole word, so I'm not gonna say it. But you can look it up. And let me tell you, and it's funny. He did have a song called Tennessee, Tennessee, Tennessee. Lord, I really been real. And it's funny we're talking about Tennessee State, but he has a documentary called the Iga Factory. Put an N on the front of it. And he talks about how they manufacture the thug, they manufacture the baby daddy, they manufacture the black men who that we see on TV, who unfortunately in many cases are anti-family, anti-intellectual, anti-wealth, anti-good decisions, right? Headed to prison, headed to death at an early age, going to die by the age of 40, right? And these are not the kinds of men that are equipped to really lead strong families that are going to be successful. So they manufacture that. They manufacture that through the educational system. That's why, it's 70% of all the black boys in a public school all want to be NBA or NFL players. They manufacture that through media. The media is they're constantly inundated with imagery of men that are not really productive people, that are not really going to benefit. Some rapper who smokes weed all day and drinks all day and sleeps with 1,000 women a week, that's not really a person that's going to guide you to manhood, right? So ultimately, we have to manufacture what we need to have. We need to manufacture young black men and young black women who are prepared to be captains of industry, who have an entrepreneurial energy. So the DEI stands for development, which means developing those people, developing communities, and developing people that can develop communities. And then the entrepreneurial part pretty much means we need to have a community of entrepreneurs. We need more and more people, millions of people that are able to look at a situation and see the economic opportunity in that situation, even when the money is not present. We need millions of people that can look at something where there's no money around and literally see what value is there. Remember, the word poor stands for passing over opportunities repeatedly. So a lot of times we pass over opportunities because we don't have our economic vision fully developed. Right? We pass over opportunities. Charlemagne the God said this when I was on the Breakfast Club one time, and I remember him saying, and I agree with him. He said, a lot of people can't see an opportunity if it's not attached to a paycheck. And I said, yeah, that's true. I've seen people pass over $1 million opportunities because they were looking for the paycheck. So your financial consciousness dictates what you're looking for. Like if you're a drug addict, you're going to look for the dope, right? If all you know is paycheck, an employee, then you're going to look for the paycheck. And somebody could literally have $1 million opportunity sitting right next to the paycheck, and you'll grab the paycheck. I remember the Muhammad Ali movie where the Don King character said something like he said, "Yeah, don't give him a check for the $1 million. Give him a briefcase with $100,000 in it." He said he's from the streets, and a person from the streets will take a briefcase with $100,000 in it before they'll take $1 million check, right? Because they're not really even because the consciousness is different, but also it's about risk, right? Like the check might bounce, but the 100,000 is real money. So he said we can just save $900,000 by giving him a briefcase full of money instead of giving him $1 million check, right? But you could actually just say, well, make it a cashier's check. Make sure that it's let's go to the bank together or whatever, right? So long story short, um, DEI, development, entrepreneurship, and investment. The investment part means it goes back to what I talked about earlier with economic blood flow. It goes into where is your attention? Where are you investing? Where are you investing your money? Where are you investing your time? Where are you investing your energy? Where are you investing your attention? The things in your life that are neglected are the things that you're not investing in, right? Just like the flowers that are not watered are the ones that are going to die. So when you see that your career is flying high, it's because you've invested in that. You went to school, you work hard every day, you've given thousands of hours, thousands and thousands of hours of labor toward this job. But then you look over here, you see your relationships are failing. Well, it could be because you're not investing in your relationships. Your kids are not doing well because maybe you didn't invest in your kids. Maybe your health is failing, your physical and mental health is failing. So you're this obese guy who's got this high paying job, but now you're about to have a heart attack because you didn't invest in your health. You didn't want to spend that hour going to the gym or whatever. So whatever you invest in, whatever you're pouring into, that is what will pay off. That is what will grow. So if something in your life is not growing, then you really want to think about your investment strategy. Where am I investing? Where am I investing all the things that matter? My money, my time, my energy, my attention. And I guarantee you that's what's going to make a difference. I can't tell you how many times, I'm going to tell you just since we're talking about the relationship thing, and my wife and I, we were talking about that for a long time last night. I'll text it out to you guys today if you want to take a look. It was a really great session where we were talking about money and relationships and this concept of the dusty, like men being called dusty because they don't have enough money. And that was a fun part of the conversation. But one thing I was thinking about was just I didn't actually say that. I didn't say it during the discussion, but everybody has preferences, right? And we were talking about being called dusty for not having enough money. And I said, yeah, I think that's kind of harsh. I said, but actually biology pretty much shows that women like men who can provide some degree of financial security. And I can understand why a woman might be disinterested in a man who's 40 years old living with his mama and riding the bus. It doesn't mean he's a bad person. And when he says all these women, they don't want that. All these women, all they want is money. And I'm like, no, it's not all these women. It's probably just the women that you're trying to talk to because you're talking to women who are not a fit for you. You're talking to women who want a man that has a car. So find the women who will ride the bus with you. They exist. They just may not look like the women that you're chasing, right? So what's happening is that not that all women are rejecting you, the women that you're pursuing are rejecting you, right? I think that's a distinction that people won't admit to. Like, oh, these women, all they want you to be able to take them to Red Lobster and get cheddar biscuits and all that. Well, that maybe she's getting phone calls from another man who can take her to Red Lobster, right? Maybe she's got options. So you just weren't the one that she picked, and that's okay. But when we were talking about the whole concept of dusties and everything else and just all that, and I was thinking about even preferences as a man. And one thing I did not say this to my wife, don't tell her if you see her, is when I was single, I made a decision. I was probably generalizing because I was young, but I decided at about 30, I said, I do not want to date any woman who is um like in medical school or who is like a really ambitious lawyer. I literally decided to avoid doctors and lawyers and a lot of the PhDs. Not because there's something wrong with a woman being accomplished. My wife's very accomplished. She's a not just a PhD, but she's a full professor. Full professors only probably 10% of all PhDs become full professors. So literally probably maybe 2% of the black female PhDs are actually full professors. So my wife is a badass and I admire that. I honor that. I just think that I support that 100%. But I remember thinking this is not interesting to me because in my dating experience, when I did date a couple women who were in medical school, it was like this sort of tunnel vision, right? Where somebody has said, don't pay attention to these boys, focus on your books. How many of y'all have heard somebody, get told things like that? Like, don't worry about these boys, just study, work on study, focus on your career, focus on study, 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 right? And I think a lot of women got that message from their mothers, and I think that was the wrong message. I think that that's a message that makes you one-dimensional. And I kind of got that message a little bit, but it was different for me because I think as a boy, you kind of get raised a little bit different and your experiences are different. And I remember just thinking, I don't want to have a relationship with you because you don't even have time to talk on the phone. And also, you don't even seem interested in this. Like, it's almost like this is not even important for you. And in hindsight, this would happen. This was happening when I was around maybe 30. And I look back at that and I think, wow, 30 is a really important, critical time for men and women, but I think mostly women, let's just be honest, when it comes to like fertility and all that, because when the eggs get a little bit older, it's a little bit harder to do the things that you might have did in your 20s. I'm not saying that women can't have, I know we got celebrities that have babies when they're 50. I read the biology. The biology it says opposite, right? But I think for men, even for men though, you can't be, you remember having kids when you're 70 years old. Just know your little seeds are not as strong as they used to be. Let's just keep that, let's just say it like that. And I just remember thinking to myself, this is not interesting to me. I want somebody who values having a man. I want somebody who values being in a relationship. And I need someone to let me know that I'm important, that as a man that I matter and that you matter and we both matter to each other. And one thing that my wife always did that I liked was my wife and her mother both they went out of their way to say, "Hey, boys, we are so glad you're here. We really appreciate you." And I would tell them the same thing. I appreciate you so much, and I don't consider your kids to be a burden. It's an honor, it's an opportunity, it's a privilege, right? And so really. I really think that when you talk about investing, I think that part of your investing equation should include those things like family and partnerships and kids and all this stuff. Because all of this, and I know that some of y'all who are doctors and lawyers and everything, don't take offense. If it doesn't apply to you, then it doesn't apply to you. So don't think I'm talking about you, but you probably know somebody that I'm talking about, if you know what I mean. You probably know who I'm talking about. And I agree with you. I think having kids at 40 Ginger, I think you can do that. I'm not putting limitations on what anybody can do. I want to make that clear. I'm saying that we get older and the window of opportunity does evolve. And I think that to lie and pretend like your opportunities at 40 are the same as they were at 30, I think that's a lie. I think that that's a lie straight from hell. And I think that we should stop doing that. I see a lot of 35-year-olds who still run around here like they're 21. And I'm like, no, you're not 21, you're 35. And I really think that it's important to be realistic about that. And when you talk about life planning and financial consciousness, I think financial consciousness is part of it is the ability to see the big picture. So financial consciousness, if I'm in my 20s, that means I don't just look at life in my 20s. I'm thinking about, well, what's life going to be like in my 30s and my 40s and in my 50s, right? How do I look at my life now in my 20s and look at it from the perspective of a 75-year-old? And then when I do it that way, I can look as a 75-year-old, see myself at 25 or 35 and make decisions that such that I'm going to be okay when I'm 75. Because a lot of us can't do that. A lot of us get trapped in the moment. We think that I'm 28 and I'm popping and I'm going to be young and popping forever. And then suddenly one day people are calling you ma'am and they're calling you sir. And or maybe you even become a grandparent and you're like, wait, I'm not the grandma, I'm not the grandfather. What are you talking about? I'm not the old person. And then life kind of sneaks up on you. Or they call you unk. There we go, John, like unk, right? Like I've had people be like, "Oh, well, you're old fashioned. You're old." I'm like, "I'm not old. What are you talking about? I'm not." You know, be like, "Oh, that's right. I am. I kind of am. If I was their age looking at me, I would think that I was old too." So so really, like that sort of life planning when you talk about investing, I don't really know if that is even discussed or even talked about. I think that if your goal is only to have money, then you're going to lose. If your goal is only to have the great job and the great career, you're going to lose. But I think if you ignore those things as well and don't invest in those things, you're going to lose. So investing in life is similar to investing in a portfolio. In fact, life is a portfolio. That's all it is. And a portfolio, one of the rules of portfolio management is balance and correlation and understanding how different assets move together, right? So if I am invested in my wife and I want to invest in my career, I've got to look at how my career correlates with my investment in my wife. I got to look at how my choice of a wife correlates with my investment in my career. See, and think about how many people will pick a spouse and not even think about how that's going to fit with what they're trying to do in life. So now you don't pick somebody because they cute and the sex is good, but they are completely disrupting everything that you're trying to accomplish on the other side of the fence because you thought you can compartmentalize the two. And I'm here to just tell you 100, with 100% sincerity, I know at least two women who were high flyers in their career, who married some handsome man who killed them and ruined everything, messed everything up. I personally know two women that this happened to. And actually, I actually know a third now that I think about it. These are interesting stories. I think these are stories every child should hear to understand the importance of how you choose who you want in your life. You're adding an asset to your portfolio, and some of y'all are purchasing toxic assets. Some of y'all buying junk bonds and trying to add a junk bond to your portfolio and wondering why the business is failing. So, I'm sorry, I'm not saying that human beings are worthless or anything like that, but y'all know what I'm talking about. You got some crazy, horrible, trifling people out here who will be jealous of your success, who will disrupt it at every turn, who will do everything they can to destroy you. And the question then becomes, how did this person get in my life in the first place? Well, maybe because you weren't thinking through the decision, maybe because your financial consciousness was not there. And you just thought, oh, this person's cute, and we had great sex, and we're having a great time, and now I'm gonna go ahead and just be with this person and see if they can blend in with my life and blend in with my friends and blend in with my goals. And then that person doesn't fit at all. And I really wonder if you thought it through. And in fact, I'll tell you a real life story just to give you an example. These are the things that go through my mind when I think about investing. This is how it probably makes me a little bit of a weirdo, but I trust my weirdness because again, this is what I've been studying my whole life. One of my friends told me about a lady who she didn't want to be uppity, so she had a business. She was making about $6 million a year, and she was a CEO, and she didn't want to be uppity, so she's dated this guy who worked for her company, and he answered the phones for her company, and he had a criminal record, but she didn't want to judge, and because he was off the drugs and everything, and so they had this relationship, and then basically she did the whole fixer upper thing, right? Um this is what I see a lot of people do. Like people will grab somebody off the street and try to fix them up and make them, like because they see potential. And I can tell you, as you get older, you become more skeptical. Potential doesn't mean a whole lot to me. If you've been sitting on all this potential and you ain't never used it, then it might as well not exist. Like I don't believe I'm the person that can necessarily always activate it. Sometimes I can, but I'm not gonna gamble like that, right? If you can't activate you, what makes me think I can activate you? Right? But she saw potential. So what she did was she helped him get a business going, and he started making money with this business. And she had her business too. And then his business started failing. It started to struggle, I think, because of the pandemic. And when his business struggled, what happens sometimes to people, especially men, is whenever whatever they got going on isn't working out. Like if it's an NFL player who gets cut from the team, or he's got a business and the business starts failing, it can disrupt his mental health, right? Especially you talk about a guy like this guy who had a drug addiction, right? In the past. Well, now instead of working on the business and fulfilling your purpose, now you're sitting at home all day. Well, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to go maybe consider engaging in pleasure-seeking activities, whatever that might be. So for him, it was drugs. So he got back on the drugs and things got worse and worse. So eventually she's like, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. This isn't working and whatever, right? So this upset him because in fact I think that, and this is a true story. So she one in fact one th at one point he actually asked her to let him head her business or sign over something with her business, and she was like, no, I'm not doing that, right? So she moves on, and then he just says, "Hey, I need to talk to you. Can we meet at the house?" And she says, "Okay." So she goes to meet this guy at the house, and he pulls out a gun and he starts to shoot at her, and she starts running, and she's running to try to get back in the car. And as she's trying to get back in the car, she gets shot in the back and she's dead. And now she's gone. Like this is a real person who is a relative of a friend of mine who told me the story from that perspective. And so stories like that, and I could tell you about five more. One day when we just are bored, I'll just sit and tell you stories that I've heard because I think these stories are important. And here's what I was just thinking about is I was just thinking about how sometimes we think that our personal relationship choices are disconnected from what we're doing professionally, that I can be a high flyer over here and I could date losers over there. And I don't think that that works because when you let somebody in your space that close, and their spirit is not right, they can literally bring a spiritual STD into your life. Like they can literally bring in like whatever toxic energy has caused them to consistently fail in their life. They're now bringing that into your space. And if you have all these things going on, all these things you're trying to do, important relationships you're trying to maintain, they can disrupt all of that. I mean, just even I've even seen I knew a guy who had a this crazy girlfriend who had these weird abandonment issues, and so when he was leaving, all the abandonment issues started triggering and kicking in, and she never got her therapy. So she was literally like, "I'm gonna go to your job and I'm gonna tell them that you raped me, and I'm gonna drive my car through your front door," like just crazy stuff, just stuff that's like, "Oh my God, this is crazy." And so really, I think that one thing that's missing that we never learned is that you should pick your partner the same way you're picking an investment. We put more energy into picking our career than we put into picking our partner, right? I do, don't we? Don't we? Right? Like picking the career is like, oh, that's an important decision. You got to think it through. But you pick a partner. I mean, if a cute person comes up and they're nice to you and you have a couple of great conversations and maybe some good sex on the third date, you might be locked in with that person for life and you don't know nothing about them. You don't know nothing about no STDs, you don't know nothing about their credit score, you don't know nothing about their financial plans. And the crazy part of it is, and I've studied this. I read books about this when I was writing financial lovemaking. I wrote that book when I was at Syracuse. um, you're high. You're really on a drug. Love is a drug. Love is a very dangerous drug. So love and sex and all that, it just makes you like to the point where your consciousness has been minimized, so you're not able to see the bigger picture. And when you finally see it, it's kind of like it's too late. Like this person's already tangled in your life and they're already messing stuff up and ruining you financially and out here just and it's crazy. There's so many crazy stories out here, and that was actually probably the most fascinating part of finance that I saw was how money and relationships just blend together and how they can blend together in such a bad way. But if you do it in the right way, and this is the brighter side of that, and I'm gonna finish up now, but the brighter side of that is that if you do it in the right way, um, it can be amazing. Like the right person in your life who's about their business, who is already a high flyer in a good way, but who has the right balance and who cares about you can really accelerate your success, my wife helps me a lot on a lot of stuff. I love my wife is a great partner in business because she just gets stuff done. She's a workhorse. She doesn't, she's like go go go. She's got that stereotypical strong black woman work ethic. I ain't gonna lie, I'm sorry, that's a stereotype, but I think it applies sometimes. Like just she ain't about no BS. Like if I say this is the assignment, let's get this done by Friday, she will get it done by Thursday. Like that's what she does, and I love that, right? And then her kids are super smart. I've talked about her, the middle daughter, the one that might go to Tuskegee, and she works for me. And so all of you who literally have broken my wrist, having me sign those thousands of books, that was crazy. When I told you guys when we were buying the books cheap, y'all bought the books, and I was signing thousands of books. She shipped all those books, every one of those books that came to your house. She was in charge of shipping all those books. And so she's been great to have in the business. And so it's a trade, right? She's helping me, because I don't want to, I can't ship all those books. But then also I'm helping her because every now and then I'll stop and I'll say, okay, let me show you how to run a Shopify store. Let me show you how the real money's made in America. Like go get your career, go to school, get your degree. But if you really ever need to make some real money, I know people that can make, $20,000 in a day. I'll show you how to do that too. So it's like it becomes a really fun trade, right? So really to me, the black family is that's the gold mine, right? Like the black family and black children and and the love we have for each other, that's where the gold is buried. That's the platinum. That's the win. That's the big pot of diamonds that I think that we haven't tapped into as much as we could. I think that if you one example of something that could be done easily is I think we should, from the time children are little, teach them certain principles about family and heading families and things like that. If you read my book, The Ten Commandments of Black Economic Power, I talk a lot about family because the family that's the untapped institution that you were trained to neglect. You were trained to neglect that. And I really think that investing there, I mean, why would you ever think that investing in that white man's company every day was more important than investing in something that came from you, something that's connected to you, something that honors you, something that allows you to live forever. Or estate planning, that's all about love and family. It's about economic love. You know, if I love you, I'm going to prepare for you. I'm going to have a plan for you. I'm going to, but we don't make the plan because we're so busy going to work for for Mr. White man that we don't even make the plan for our family. But you done made major, big plans for your boss. And I just personally think that we have to shift that. I really do. Now, I know that we started off talking about Trump's tariffs and we spun into everything else, but that's how we do class. Y'all know how I am. And in fact, actually, later on today in stock market class, we can dig deeper into that and you can ask me questions about different stocks. I'll give you some stocks later on that I like when we meet this afternoon. If you want to join the Stock Market Investors Club, just go to drboystockmarket.com. That's drboystockmarket.com. Also, tomorrow's Wednesday. We're also going to have Powernomics training. So if you're on the text list, I'll invite you to all that. Just make sure you're on the list. Text the word morning to the number 87948. So just text morning to the number 87948 on your phone, and I'll send you an invitation. Okay, guys, I'm about to get out of here. God bless you. If you want my final summary on this stock market dip, I'm buying the dip. Because long term, this stuff does not matter. I do believe short term that the tariff situation is going to reduce itself. I do believe Trump at some point is going to back off a little bit, but he's not going to back off in a blatant way. He's not going to, he doesn't want to surrender and appear weak, right? So I think that if they give him the room to back off without appearing to have lost the negotiation, then I think that's going to happen. It looks like right now the Dow's down by over 700 points. That's a tremendous opportunity to own more stock at a good price, in my opinion. I don't see other economic indicators that are bad, but one of the reasons that the market's dropping also is because tariffs produce a lot of uncertainty, and uncertainty and fear are really bad things for any stock market. That's going to cause stock markets to drop. And also, there's an expectation of slower economic growth because of higher costs, reduced spending, and all the uncertainty. And then companies, their supply chains get disrupted by higher tariffs. So when the cost of buying goods from Mexico goes up, the automobile manufacturers they don't like that because it costs them more to make a car and all that stuff. So the tariffs can throw a monkey wrench in the economy, but I do think long term that this is going to go away. And I think that this is Trump really posturing right now to try to keep his campaign promises. I can't imagine him continuing down this path because eventually he's going to run out of political capital. So Michael says, "Tell your daughter I'm sorry, but I need more books." Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what? We will for everyone in here, we'll still offer a substantial discount if you want to buy the books and make it into a business. I love it though. I love the fact that you guys were interested in that, and maybe we can do that with like all of my books or something. Because that's what I want. I really. One thing white people have carved out that we don't have as much in our community is they have really good distribution systems, right? So that's why, when Tyler Perry makes a deal with Lionsgate, you suddenly got Tyler Perry movies all over the world and all that. And so we have decent distribution, but we could use more. And by you all sort of being a part of it, it really adds to the distribution. That's the ability to get ideas spread around the world. And because I believe that we can have our own systems, we should have our own educational process, we should have our own everything, right? And I think that we can do that, right? So I want to say thank you guys for being a part of that. If your books haven't gotten there yet, just give us a little bit of time because I'm gonna just tell you the truth. Like we ship out of the basement. The basement has thousands of books stacked up, and they're my team is patient with me. They're kind of mad at me though because it's been kind of a flood, but at the same time, it's an absolute honor and this is a privilege to partner with you, and I like it because everybody can win. So if you want to take that book and resell it at a fair price, do that, and that would just make me excited because then you're making money, the school's benefiting, the community benefits. The book is a damn good book, and I just really think that this is how we can win by working together. So God bless you guys. I will hit you up tomorrow morning for class, and also again later on today we're doing stock market class. So drboystockmarket.com if you want to join us. So have a good day, everybody. I'll see you soon. Take care.